What happens if Trump fails to deliver change?
That's an interesting question. I think all of the things that many of us have been saying about the decline of the West are going to come back 100 times, because what you then see is there's literally no way out.
It's unfixable.
There's no way out. There's no way out. So the reason I think a lot of people were relieved, as I was at least in this election.
Trump won.
Yeah. The feeling for me was, well, at least there's choice. Like in the UK, you don't have choice on the issues that I care about, right? Which is our country being prosperous, immigration being beneficial to the country. I'm pro lots and lots of immigration
as an immigrant.
If it's beneficial to the country. I'm against even small levels of immigration that are detrimental to the country. And I'm completely against illegal immigration for that reason. And as you know, again, the woke shit, grinds my gears. So on all of that stuff, we don't have a choice in this country. We haven't had a choice for 14 years. The Conservative government that's just left is virtually indistinguishable from the Labour Party that's just come in, to the point where the Labour leader is attacking the Conservatives for their failure on mass immigration. And everyone's going, well, he's got a point. I mean, he's going to make it worse, but he's got a point. Do you know what I mean? So in America, at least the feeling was, well, okay, they actually have choice. They can choose. If you don't want this continued slide into managed decline, you can vote for something else.
Pivot.
If you vote for that something else and you don't actually end up having that choice, then you're in deep trouble.
Fuck.
And as you probably know, in the fringes of right-wing discourse, the Curtis Yarvins of the world.
I'm not super familiar. I've met Curtis, but I'm not super familiar with
he's an interesting guy, but it's not even about him specifically. There are a lot of people who up until this point were increasing in profile because they were saying something that I don't necessarily agree with, but I see the logic of, and that is, what good is democracy if you can't vote for the things that you want? If you can't vote your way out of this, is that democracy or is that a fake democracy? And therefore, if it's a fake democracy, then you're not living in a place of choice. You're living in a place where there's a tyrannical authoritarian structure that's telling you, you must have net zero, you must have woke, you must have DEI.
It's just got a much more sophisticated delivery mechanism that makes you feel like you're playing the game.
You're living in the matrix, right? You're being given this soma, whatever you want to call it. You're being given this drug that makes you feel like you're living in some
on a piece of ballot paper.
Yes, but actually you're living in hell, in which you're stuck with the things that you hate. And even if the majority of you get together and vote against this, it will still happen.
The same outcome occurs.
So their argument is, democracy is not working. Why don't we look at alternatives? And alternatives are, that explains the fascination that, as I say, fringes of the right increasingly have with the Putins of the world. Because it's like, well, this is like a strong man who actually fixed his country, And if Trump fails, I don't see why those voices wouldn't get louder.
That's very interesting.
I can't see a logical reason why that wouldn't be the case. Do you?
No, I mean, you can continue to sort of play the game. I'm sure that people that don't like Trump would say, yeah, but he was inefficient. He was unable to do this thing. It's because the policies were pointing in the wrong direction. We can fix it through a different pathway, et cetera, et cetera. But given that there was a majority of people that voted for him, it not being disheartening and disenchanting to the democratic process, especially with all of the power of the smartest guy in the world, the companies and the rockets and the fucking dance moves on stage and stuff. What else did you want? But yeah, I'm fascinated by that question. What happens in 4 years' time if change hasn't been delivered?
If you can't fix it when you've got the Senate, the Congress, the popular vote, the tech bro oligarchs,
David Sachs,
you've got a lot of the new media on your side, which is so powerful now in America. You've got literally everything you could possibly have. You as president are independently wealthy. It's your last term. You don't have to pander to anybody.
Mm-hmm. A good successor sat in the same organization already.
If you can't fix it then, well, how do you fix it? that would be the question a lot of people ask in that situation. So Trump must not fail, because if he does, that in many ways was the last chance that the West had of turning things around.
What happens if it goes well? You mentioned about Trump has the opportunity to hard reset sort of the Western world.
I think if he does well, if the economy grows rapidly and sustainably, if he closes the border and deals with illegal immigration and crime, if he ends DEI and all of this neo-racism in the institutions, if he makes energy cheap, if he ends the foreign conflicts that he promised to end, I think that is something that is that's undeniable proof that that movement offers is better than what we had. That's why people voted for him the way that they did, and that means that will give massive inspiration to people around the world, especially the Western world. I think that's undeniably the case.
Do you think it would give inspiration to the UK?
I think it will. That does not mean, for the reasons that we already discussed, that will necessarily. That does not mean that will necessarily result in a political victory, but that will give inspiration to people around the world, for sure.
In other news, this episode is brought to you by Function. Did you know that your annual physical only screens for around 20 biomarkers? That leaves a lot of gaps when it comes to understanding your health, which is why I partnered with Function. They run lab tests twice a year that monitor over 100 biomarkers. They even screen for 50 types of cancer at stage 1. They've got a team of expert physicians that takes that data, puts it into a simple dashboard, and gives you actionable recommendations to improve your health and lifespan. They track everything from your heart health to your hormone levels, thyroid function. Plus, Dr. Andrew Huberman is their scientific advisor and Dr. Mark Hyman is their chief medical officer. So you can trust that the data and insights you receive are scientifically sound and practical. Getting your blood work analyzed like this would usually cost thousands, but with Function, it's only $500. And right now, you can get the exact same panels I get, plus bypass their 400,000 person waitlist by going to the link in the description below or heading to functionhealth.com/modernwisdom. That's functionhealth.com/modernwisdom. What's happening, people? Thank you very much for tuning in. You enjoyed that little morsel with Konstantin? Of course you did. Full meal available right here. Dig in.